platform where anyone can scrutinize those kinds of statements and determine their authenticity. Process is very similar, mirrors a traditional civil court, complete with a plaintiff and jurors. So here's a quick rundown. Spot a questionable claim online or in the media. Head to truthcourt.net. If you're not signed in, sign in. It's quick and easy. And acting as a plaintiff, file a case stating whether you believe the claim that you're concerned about is a truth or a lie. Then you're going to respond to 8 universal verdict questions designed to dissect that statement. Invite a few others next to act as your jurors. Up to 8 can participate. You can invite more than that, but only the first 8 will become jurors. These jurors then are going to answer the very same 8 questions that you answered about the proposed truth or lie. So everybody is on the same page. When it's all done, you'll discover what the jurors think about your claim, and you'll probably gain some insight into their reasoning. Be prepared for surprises. Optionally, you can share your trial's results on social media with a single click, and only you have this power. If you want a do-over, any case can be retried. The system, with a click, will set up a new case for you based on the previous one. You can tweak the details of the case or retry the same case with a different set of participants. Very simple. Just so you know, TruthCourt's role is to facilitate the process, not to influence the case content or the answers. The outcomes are shaped by the participants. For a detailed procedure, visit truthcourt.net. You'll also find some links there to previous public trials on the homepage. Okay, today I'm going to act as the plaintiff, and we're going to run through a case that I have. The case that I'm going to talk about today, we've all been hearing in the news about UAPs, I believe they're calling them now, unidentified aerial phenomenon. We used to call them UFOs. And there's been a tremendous amount of talk about what is going on with this, if they're aliens or what they are. Well, they're unidentified, so nobody knows what they are. But it brought up an interesting point, and an article that I read in the BBC that brought up a very interesting feature of this whole thing. What if we do find aliens? What if we do contact aliens? Will we be able to understand them? Will we be able to communicate? After all, they are aliens. So I'm setting up a case here about that. And if you take a look at the screen that you see, you're going to see the main TruthCourt screen. And the title I have is, Will it be possible to understand alien language? Over on the left-hand column, you see the status. That's where the case is. The trial is in progress. The date, we have 54 minutes to go. Here's the link for the folks that are on Zoom that are with us now. And we see that there are 4 jurors who have accepted to be in this case, and 2 of them have actually finalized their verdicts. Over on the far right column, you see the verdicts. These are the 8 questions we're going to answer about my claim, and we'll go through them in detail in just a minute. In the middle, speaking of details, are the case details. And this is all the information that I put into this case so that my jurors will have something to go on, so that they'll know what we're talking about, so they can answer their 8 questions responsibly and with some insight. All right, so the name, will it be possible to understand alien language? The category of this particular lie, I say it's a limits of human understanding concept. Now, the accusation. And that's basically the details of my case. And I'm going to run through that very quickly. What if humans discovered evidence of intelligence elsewhere in the universe? Would it be even possible to communicate with a truly alien existence? Personally, I'm skeptical. Alien means alien, without any common ground. By definition, we would have difficulty apprehending the very existence of aliens, let alone communicating with them. The article that I read, a scientist quoted in the BBC article, I summarize it below. He disagrees with me. He claims that we most likely understand and be able to communicate because, in his opinion, there would exist certain commonalities. I say this view is naive and anthropocentric and assumes that what we know about the universe is true everywhere and that our probably limited, in my view, understanding of things will apply universally. The researcher's conclusion relies heavily on natural selection, and he says that somehow that's the claim implies that this natural selection process that we have on Earth is somehow universal. Well, we know it's a fundamental concept in our Earth, our terrestrial biological systems. But it's possible to envision an alien system where different mechanisms drive evolution. One speculative example could be a hypothetical ecosystem based on a form of directed or engineered evolution, rather than the competition-driven natural selection we observe on Earth. In this theoretical system, intelligent extraterrestrial beings could play a central role in guiding the evolution of organisms. They could be manufactured, not produced by natural selection. They might possess advanced genetic engineering, these so-called aliens, allowing them to directly manipulate genetic makeup of living beings or even create new life forms from scratch. Now, that's what we're actually talking about now with our artificial intelligence. It's a big concern. Is artificial intelligence going to take over from us, from we biological creatures? Well, if it does, then you would be in this kind of situation where an artificial intelligence type of planet dominance could create beings without using natural selection. So instead of relying on random mutations and survival of the fittest, the system could involve deliberate genetic modifications, controlled breeding programs, precise environmental interventions. The goal could be to shape organisms according to specific desired traits or functions. If you needed an organism to exist on a heavy planet with high gravity or exist on a planet with a particular atmosphere, it could be highly tailored, purpose-driven by that ecosystem. Or it could be utterly alien and incorporate elements of symbiosis or mutualism on a grand scale where different species are intricately interconnected and codependent in ways that are radically different from Earth's ecosystem. Now, I use ChatGPT to look at the BBC article and prepare this summary. And my jurors have read this, but the scientist who is quoted in this particular BBC article says that, according to him, that there's going to be some kind of universal similarities between intelligent creatures that we might find based on the fact that they probably had to evolve in similar ways to us. I say that's naive, and I don't think it's true. So at any rate, I'm hoping that my jurors read this article, and I also included a URL here for another article. This is from a scientist named Minsky at MIT, who looks at this BBC type of article that the scientist in the BBC article puts forth, and he looks at it and says, well, there are many weaknesses in this argument. And I agree there are. So what is the actual statement that I'm bringing to court today? This is it here under markup. You see it says, Eric Kirschenbaum, a behavioral ecologist at the University of Cambridge in the UK, believes, and note this is in red, evolutionary challenges are truly universal, and that the evolutionary forces that shape life on Earth will produce many similar features in extraterrestrial life. Now you notice that this part is highlighted in red. When I put this in, I had the option of highlighting it in red or in blue, whether it's a lie or the truth. I'm saying it's not true. I don't think that's a particularly true statement. And here is the URL where I found that article in the BBC. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go over my verdict questions, and we'll talk about these color bars that have appeared on the verdict questions in a little while. Basically, the color bars stand for red for no, blue for yes, yellow for don't know. And there are 3 jurors who have accepted, 3 jurors who have finalized, if we look over here in the left column. And I have put my answer in as well. And all of the bars are universally the same color. So that's telling me everybody is agreeing with me. So let's see how they're agreeing with me, and let's see if there are any differences in that. All right. Is it the truth? I say no. There's no empirical evidence which supports the claim that evolutionary challenges are truly universal. It's based on an assumption. Without direct observation or contact with extraterrestrial life, it's impossible to confirm whether aliens would face similar evolutionary challenges or develop similar features. Now, if we look down below, well, since all the jurors are completed, we're going to look at their answers one at a time as we go through all 8 questions. If you look at the little icon here to the right of my name, plaintiff, you see it has a little copy symbol and the word no. If you look below, one of these icons is identical. That means that juror copied my answer here completely. But the other 2 jurors, they say no also, but they didn't, the icon is not identical. So it's going to be, their answers are going to be a little different. So let's take a look at them. Juror number 1. Okay, let's see what juror number 1 says. He says no, or she, but here's the supporting text. It may well be the case that any intelligent extraterrestrial species will have faced similar evolutionary challenges on the path to sentience and technology, but it is a far leap to assume this means that their means and modes of communication will align in any way with human communication. For instance, both alien and human cultures will have uncovered universal mathematical concepts and physical properties essential for developing technology capable of space travel and broadcasting. But the representation of these universal concepts, the syntax and grammar for communicating such information, and how to encode it for signaling may be extremely divergent. That is an excellent answer. And yes, I agree with that. That's very well put. Juror number 2, let's see what juror number 2 says. Juror number 2 also says no, with a confidence level of only 25%, by the way. So this is an uncertain area that we're in. Juror number 2 says, question is 1, if we discover intelligence, and 2, then we could communicate. This juror has very, very presciently figured out that hidden in my claim is an if-then statement. If we discover it, then we can communicate. If we discover it, supposes that we have discovered what we think are some of the behaviors and alleged mental capacities that are well outlined by Marvin Minsky in the article, Tools, Goals, Structured Concepts, Including Causality, etc. That's the MIT guy that I gave the MIT to. What this means is we've already adopted a complete conceptual framework, which is already challenged by examples on Earth, like ant colonies and assemblages of dumb agents that together do some smart things, like gardening fungi. So that's a very, very interesting point, that by the mere virtue of how we put our search together, we're already assuming a certain framework, a conceptual framework, juror number 2 says. And that's a very important concept. And also the BBC article did not, that particular scientist, Eric Kirschenbaum, did not raise this possibility at all. And this is a very important possibility. And then suppose for number 2, if we can communicate with them, we think aliens have some kind of language, structured information, communication, and storage. Could we communicate them, or they with us? Seems unlikely, juror number 2. They could have senses, goals, and concepts so different from our own that we couldn't map theirs and ours onto each other. That is a very, very nice answer. I like that one a lot. It's well thought out. Okay, very good. And juror number 3 has copied my answer, which, I thought that was a pretty good answer too. All right, is it the whole truth? Let's see. Juror number 2 and juror number 3 have copied my answer, and my answer is no, 50% confidence level. We have a limited understanding of potential extraterrestrial environments and conditions that extraterrestrial intelligence might encounter. Assuming that aliens would face challenges similar to life on Earth is anthropocentric, as it presumes that the conditions elsewhere in the universe are similar enough to Earth to lead to comparable evolutionary processes. Jurors number 2 and 3 agreed with that answer. Juror number one also said no, but gave some different, some other things are different. So let's see what juror number one said. Juror number one said, we have a limited, almost no understanding of potential extraterrestrial environments and conditions that extraterrestrial intelligences might encounter. So this person added a little bit to my answer. I think that's what that is, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look. Yes. So this person added almost no understanding. Yes, that's correct. All right. And jurors number 2 and 3 copied my answer. Question number 3, is it nothing but the truth? I say no. Life on Earth is diverse. It came through a wide range of environments and conditions, but this evolutionary form of development may not have taken place with alien intelligences. Assuming that extraterrestrials, which share similar features with humans, overlooks the potential for vastly different forms and adaptations, maybe even non-biological intelligence. That's a very weird kind of science fiction-y concept, but it's within the realm of possibility in my mind. It's possible that intelligence elsewhere could have developed in radically different ways, with features and characteristics that are entirely unique to their specific environments and developmental histories. Juror number 1 and juror number 3 agreed with me. Juror number 2 agreed with me also, but with a little difference. And juror number 2 says, as it stands, our uncertainty is overwhelming, and the whole truth is light years away. Yes, I agree. Our uncertainty is overwhelming, if we would only accept that. What is the deceit? The deceit is that, in my mind, this is my answer, the deceit is that Earth-like evolutionary processes are universal. I say this is an anthropocentric assumption which relies on claims that are unsupported by empirical evidence. Juror number 2 and number 3 agree with me verbatim. Juror number 1 says, different confidence level. So I can see that he's more confident about this, or is he less? Let's see. Oh, less. Okay, juror number 1 is less confident that these are evolutionary processes are universal, but still 80% is pretty strong feeling. Is the deceit or truth intended? I say yes. The claim represents a naive and hubristic view held by many STEM field practitioners. I don't mean to pick on science, math, technology people, but it is, in my experience, it is a common, I hesitate to call it a failing, but it's a trait that folks tend to believe that they've got it figured out. And I don't believe that the facts bear that out. I think it's somewhat of a failure of imagination. Juror number 2 and juror number 3 agree with my statement verbatim. Juror number 1 agrees but has some differences. Juror number 1 says, with a 70% confidence level, our species' scientific, philosophical, and spiritual ideologies are rife with anthropocentric biases and assumptions. This deceit, or perhaps more accurately, self-deception, is quintessential human hubris. Well put, juror number 1. I couldn't say it better. Very well put. Yeah, it is. And it is a particularly human characteristic. It's going to get us in trouble, perhaps. Let's hope not. Okay, what is the motivation behind this? I think that I guess the motivation is to uphold the primacy of scientific worldview that prevails among many, if not most, practitioners of STEM fields. Notice I said scientific. It's not scientific. It's kind of making almost a religion of science and accepting some concepts dogmatically. And I say below, science as an approach to studying the universe is a relatively recent cultural development, 500-600 years old, still in its infancy. As it matures, perhaps it will outgrow this parochial mindset. Jurors number 2 and number 3 agree with me. Juror number one also seems to agree, but has some differences in opinion. Let's see what they are. The motivation is aspirational, a fervent desire, a hope, and dream that if we encounter another intelligent life form in the universe, we will be able to communicate with it and perhaps become friends. Discussions about extraterrestrial communication are at best wild speculation. I believe such speculation should be encouraged to generate many possible scenarios with the hope that our biases about intelligence and communication will be made explicit. Yes. I have to also add to this. I read a book many years ago by Carl Sagan and a Russian gentleman who I don't remember the name. It's called Intelligent Life in the Universe. And Carl Sagan devised what he thought would be a universal communication graphic. And something similar to that, I believe, was put on the Pioneer spacecraft when it was sent into interstellar space. And again, they did their best, but I do think that it still suffered from this very same failing that we're discussing here a bit on the anthropocentric side. Okay, what is the social acceptability of the truth or lie? I say it's unacceptable to make this claim that evolutionary challenges are truly universal. We need to try to avoid these kind of dogmatic statements. Jurors number 2 and number 3 agree with me verbatim. Juror number 1 says it's unacceptable, but with a different confidence level. And added a little bit. It says, juror number 1 says, speculation that wraps itself in scientific justification is just another form of science fiction. Very good. I like that a lot. Very good, juror 1. Okay, number 8. What label would improve the social acceptability of the truth or lie? In other words, if we saw this statement highlighted in red and there was a label beside it to explicate it or qualify it, what would that label be? And my answer to that is this statement makes a claim to universality that is not supported by empirical evidence. Again, I'm saying while there are most likely situations in the universe where evolutionary challenges are similar and develop similarly to what we have here, the existence of utterly alien mechanisms beyond our comprehension is also distinctly conceivable. This statement does not consider this possibility. Okay, and everybody agreed with me on this one verbatim. So we ended up having an interesting discussion, even though everybody agreed with what I was saying. Okay, so there you have it, everyone. That is the case that we have done. And I would ask you all at this point to head on over to TruthCourt and sign up. Find something that you're interested in, that has piqued your curiosity or your outrage, perhaps. And if you're ready to dive into the world of truth seeking, sign up, start your own case, run your own case. You can be a plaintiff. It's very simple to do. You'll not only be contributing to a more transparent online environment, but you'll be enjoying some good benefits yourself. You'll be empowering yourself by taking charge of truth. You'll be engaging in some insightful discussions with some interesting topics. It'll sharpen your analytical skills, having to answer all these types of questions. You'll be helping to create a community, an engaged community where people can get together and talk about controversial issues. You'll be increasing public awareness about these issues, and you'll be enhancing your personal growth, certainly, and it's fun. And it's interactive, so you can exchange comments with other people via writing, or if you do a Zoom case like we did, you can actually talk. So don't wait. Visit TruthCourt and sign up. We want you to do that if you can. And I would invite at this point any of my jurors who have participated in this discussion to go ahead and discuss if you wish, or if you have any comments to make, now would be a good time to do that. Go ahead. Yeah.
My one comment is I was rather surprised in this day and age to see such a clearly, I guess hubristic is a perfect term, perspective on this question, especially considering the rich narrative environment, especially over the past few years, the kind of speculation about life and its forms and and how it might engage the universe, from notions of beings of pure energy, entities that might exist in a different relationship to space and time. I mean, some pretty creative ideas about how intelligent life might exist in the universe. And to see people with a scientific background be stuck in such a very tiny box was kind of surprising to me. I would have, like you said, I think it's a real lack of imagination, and for it to get any type of play without a significant response to kind of rein it in, it was surprising. It really was.
Well, I have to agree with you a lot on that. There are a number. I'm going to put it down to kind of a failure of education or a failure of our educational system in a way, because we're creating people, tech people, especially in the STEM fields, to do jobs, to create, solve a specific problem or something, but we're not putting emphasis on the general development of the expansive mind that is needed for these kinds of things. I'm particularly piqued by one person, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is a very well-known. He pretends to Carl Sagan's position, kind of in the popular view, and he is openly scornful of philosophy and philosophical discussions. And it doesn't help when media commentators, immediately go to him first for these kinds of for discussions about these things. And to me, he's failed completely by he doesn't even accept the viability of philosophy of science as a field. So how where are we going wrong in our system where this is what we're producing, I suppose. I don't know. I don't mean to pick on Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I guess I do mean to pick on Neil deGrasse Tyson because I think it's a problem, and he's representative of it, of this guy that wrote this BBC article as well. They seem to be in a box, like you say.
Yeah, perhaps a bit of overcompensation against the completely unbridled, unscientific kind of flat Earth view. But I agree. I find um, uh, Neil deGrasse Tyson somewhat entertaining. I've listened to a couple of his audiobooks, but I agree with you that he's maybe gone a little too far to the other extreme, maybe with good intent, but because he's so telegenic, he skews the popular view.
He does.
He skews it in a way that's not helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I know Carl Sagan's shoes are hard to fill. He was a pretty interesting guy and a good spokesman, a good public voice for all things kind of space oriented and all of that. But he was also quite aware of the cultural and philosophical issues involved in what he did, and I think that we're losing that, and it's a very big loss in my opinion. They didn't read enough science fiction when they were kids. Asimov for everyone. Okay, anybody else have anything to say? All right. Well, folks, thanks very much for joining us in this talk, and we're happy to have brought it to you. And again, we encourage you to go over to truthcourt.net, sign up, and try your own case. Bring something before some people, invite them, and you can do this yourselves. It's a lot of fun and it's quite interesting, and there is a lot of stuff out there to talk about. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.